Welcome to Hardly Focused. We'll jump right into this with Jack Gill, Zach Ward, and Kim Dinaro. Hello, Kim.
Hi.
Kim Dinaro, first and foremost, a friend of mine and Zach's because we all went to high school together. This is actually the first time that I have seen and really talked to Kim since I think 2007.
Throwback. Yeah. This is our high school reunion.
Beyond a few Instagram messages here and there. But some background about Kim. She's a Brooklyn-based comedian and writer. She's written for Betches, Some E-Cards, and Reductress. And you are also on The Tonight Show, starring Jimmy Fallon.
Yes, it was.
And you have a website, KimberlyDinaro.com. So that's where people can find you. And all over New York, too, because from what I see on your Instagram, you're always doing stand-up. You're always at different events. You seem busy.
Yeah.
That's an understatement, I'm sure.
Unsustainable lifestyle, for sure.
I just want to, right off the bat, I'm really curious about the Tonight Show thing because it was a nice surprise just one day seeing that you had posted you were going to be on the Tonight Show, and then I watched the episode that night, and you were there. You did a whole segment with Jimmy Fallon,
and you were so much better than the other guy. I just gotta say.
Oh my God, thank you. It's so funny because I'm like, yeah, I got second place in a contest of 2, not to brag, but you know. I have to be a humble loser. It was a surprise for me too, though. It was like it was just a segment they do, and they reached out to me because of like the musical comedy that I do. And yeah, it was like actually it was the night before, so I had like 12 hours to like run and get like a COVID test and like do like all the things. It was nuts.
That's right. So this was last year, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this was still that sort of weird period where like because I watch all the late night shows, and I've been following everything that was going on when the pandemic started, and just how the shows were adapting to that, especially having live audiences again, basically trying to soldier on as normal, but with all the protocols in place. So I know, like, I think around now in 2023, I think they're just like, whatever, nobody cares. But back then they cared. So you mentioned having to go out and get a COVID test. What were things like backstage with the protocols? Like, were people really strict about all that?
Yeah, it was really strict. I had to get 2 COVID tests within like 8 hours of each other, I think.
Damn.
I was like, oh man, what if I like have COVID and then I can't do this? Like, it'd be so humiliating. But it was like they take you to this like high-end clinic. Like it was all very like hush hush and weird. And then backstage, yeah, you had to like wear a mask, obviously, but they also had these like face shields you can like put over so your makeup doesn't get smeared. So I was just like talking to everyone, like holding this weird little shield.
Now, did you get a chance to talk with Jimmy Fallon before you went out, or was your interaction with him only when you were on stage?
Yeah, I talked to him like right before they started rolling, and then right after, and we like shook hands, and that was it. Okay. And it was interesting. It was great, but we were both so nervous. We were like, okay, hi, thank you. Okay, bye, great. He was like, millions of people are going to see your little songs. And we were like, great, okay.
Yeah, cool, awesome.
Now, did you know the gentleman that you were in the sketch with, or were you complete strangers?
No. We met when we were both going out for the rehearsal. And for the rehearsal, they have like a fake Jimmy stand-in. Do like the blocking.
Oh Jesus. Someone who's just paid to just laugh at everything.
I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I want this job to be like the blocking guy.
Yeah.
Just like he had like a suit on and everything. It was great.
Now did you get any did you get a chance to talk to anyone from the Roots, or were you just in and out?
Yeah, we like kind of waved because the piano was like next to where they were playing. So that was like I was like, oh God, I'm not like a classically trained pianist, so they're like, "What is this girl?" But it was fun. I mean, we didn't get to like have a full combo, but
Nice. Yeah, I've talked about it before on this show, but I went to a Jimmy Fallon taping a month into him hosting the Tonight Show. So
oh wow,
this is back in 2014, but probably the best part about that whole experience is just being in the same room as the Roots and getting a free show from the Roots. I mean, I don't think people even realize that when
yeah,
they think about that. It's like, dude, the Roots are there and they play the whole time. Like, you're getting a free concert essentially. It doesn't matter who else is there. Like, you're getting a free Root show.
yeah, they're so good.
And they're so versatile too. Yeah. So the sketch, we're talking a lot about just the background of the sketch, but the sketch, what was it like? You and the other dude go backstage and write a song in like a minute, or you have like 2 minutes to write a song and perform it?
I mean, it was more than 2 minutes, but yeah, it was like within the day. And yeah, we each got like assigned a prompt, which is funny because his was like very relevant. It was like about COVID, and we were all during like it was during Omicron, so it was all anyone in New York could talk about. And they were like, for you, what about a deep cut reference from 2008, a Roomba? Everyone's equally talking about COVID and Roombas. So go out there and just be relatable.
Greetings, fellow kids.
I was like, okay. Yeah, Roombas are fun, like inherently funny on their own. But I was like, I don't really know anyone who has a Roomba. It's sort of like a luxury cleaning item, I guess.
I can't imagine they work very good either.
I know, I don't trust them. Like, I feel like I need to control the vacuum. Maybe that's just my control freak, but just letting.
And I'm like, I have cats, so I'm like, I just don't think that they would understand what the Roomba is, or would probably try to attack it after they learned its patterns for long enough.
Yeah, and it like memorizes your house layout, so like the cats would easily be able to figure it out.
Zach, this is I don't know if Kim, you're into video games as much as Zach and I are, but Zach, someone made a map in Doom based entirely off of the path that their Roomba takes around their apartment.
That's ridiculous. Why? They have way too much time on their hands. What is wrong with us gamers? That is ridiculous. Cool. I'm glad it's out in the world, but like seriously, you have no idea.
Oh my God. I should have included that in my song.
There you go. Oh, there you go. Damn.
See, this is all just good, insight for the future. Actually, I had a question. So like kind of going back a ways for you, but like, how did you even like end up in New York and then, manage to like hold on to, like the skyscrapers long enough to actually keep yourself living in New York?
I mean, great question. Every day I'm like, I can't wait to move. Today's the day. I gotta go. But I think it's easy to complain about the city when you're living in it. I know that like the second I left, I would be like, oh, I miss it. I miss the magical town of trash. But I moved there right out of high school because I went to college for 2 years at Marymount and studied acting. And basically they were like, you shouldn't do acting.
I fucking hate
because it was like a classical program, where
Mm-hmm.
like if you're not set for Shakespeare, then after 2 years they tell you like, okay, you can either continue with the program or you can do something else. But I was so like petty and annoying that I was like, if I can't finish this BFA program, then I'm not even going to stay at this school anymore. So I dropped out and then like lived in New York for a year. And the plan was supposed to be like, oh, I'll take a year off and I'll audition and I'll commit so hard to acting. And instead I just worked at Lush Cosmetics and sold soap.
Yo, Lush though, I love Lush, and I don't know how
it was great.
It is amazing. It is amazing.
I smelled so good all the time. We all had like a bunch of free products in my apartment. But was I acting? I mean, kind of when I had to like lie about how excited I was about bubble bath every day.
I don't know how many straight men like admittedly go to Lush and shop at Lush, but they have this goop that like it's like caffeinated goop that it's like a body scrub for when you're in the
Oh
shower,
yeah.
but it's infused with caffeine. So like it'll straight up just jolt you awake in the morning if you use it. I love that
There's
stuff.
there's a fair amount of straight men. Yeah, they sort of walk in and with the blinders on. They didn't want us to do our like, oh my God, hi, welcome to Lush. Do you want to try a glitter bomb?
Now,
Oh, we can take your hands and we can rub it in the water and make your hands extra soft. Like, no, I don't want to do that.
We would
I
have
just
to
need
touch
soap.
everyone. Yeah, that's true. You have to grab we would have to grab strangers' hands. I ended up like kind of getting sort of fired, like not fired, but like they heavily suggested that I leave, and I think they didn't want me to go on unemployment. So they were like, they had a meeting because they wanted us to give foot treatments, and this was in the middle of Union Square in summer, like disgusting New York City tourists coming in with their like flip-flop feet, and then like we would we couldn't wear gloves, so we just have to touch like with our bare hands like their feet. And I made like a bunch of jokes about it, and I was like, well, if I get a foot fungus, then I'm suing Lush. And they like took it seriously, and they're like, you can't threaten us with like legal danger. And I was like, obviously I don't even know what suing is. Like, I'm 20 years old. I make $8 an hour. Like, I do not have the power of like putting a lawyer against a massive worldwide company. So they were like, yeah, you should quit, or we're firing you essentially because of your attitude about the foot treatments.
Oh my God.
Which is for the best, because then I applied to transfer to NYU, and then I ended up graduating from NYU
Nice.
like 2 years after.
Nice. So it worked out.
And then I just stayed. And now I've just been here since 2009.
When you were at Lush, did you see anyone ever eat any of the like soaps? Like
like at least I would say once per shift.
Oh,
Not
no.
maybe fully swallow, but like people would definitely try. People always thought we were a bakery or a candle shop. Those were like no one really knew what it was. That's like partially on them. Their branding is like purposefully vague so that the sales associates have to like really force communication. That's why we're always like, they're always like vultures when you walk in. But people would grab like, yeah, cupcake shaped soap and just go for it. Which is also weird, because if it was a bakery and you were looking at a bakery display, like, why do you think you could just grab it and eat it without buying it?
Yeah,
like, people
right?
are nuts.
That's human nature.
I remember once I dated a girl who's now I never knew that this was something that people did, but I dated a girl whose family were one of those people where, like, if they go in the store, like her dad would just be like, yeah, I'll get this drink, and then open it like before we even get to the counter, drink the entire thing, and then just pay for it once we get to the thing. I'm just like, I mean, that's one way to do it, I guess.
It's a bold move.
Oh,
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking it must be similar. Simply like, just walk into but it smells like soap. That's the thing that like I don't get, is like when you walk into a Lush, it does smell nice, but it still smells like soap.
Yeah, and it tastes like soap too.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you guys don't regularly just eat soap? You don't just down bottles of Dawn?
Chomping on. I mean, it is like chocolate flavored, and so it is confusing. They put like little fake frosting things on it. But fun fact, everything in the store is actually edible. So
Okay.
you can eat it and you'll be fine.
Interesting.
And I think they had to do that because they were like, everyone's an idiot. So we can't have any lawsuits. Between Kim's foot lawsuit and this soap, we're going down.
Let's see. Poison or feet? Let's weigh the two here.
That really makes me wonder how they must have handled like COVID and lockdown.
I know, because everything was so like, let me grab your hand, and like, yeah, they must have done like social distance sales, or I don't even know. Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't entered in a long time because I'm like, ugh, I can't go back.
PTSD.
Flashbacks.
Please no.
Well, that I am curious about, just with the type of work that you do, Kim, how the pandemic affected that. Like, I'm sure it was not easy to go out and obviously do stand up and do different events during that whole time.
Yeah, it was pretty. I mean, in the city, it's like some people would do like outdoor shows once we sort of were trying to figure out like if outdoor stuff was safe. And then those were weird because you'd just be like in the middle of a park and like people would be like having picnics with your family, and you're like, do you want to hear about my butt jokes? Like with no microphone, like, and the tech was always really bizarre, and it was really just like, wow, we're really doing this for the love of it, for us, not really for the audience's enjoyment. There's those. Then people did like drive-through shows where you like sit in your car and watch the
Oh yeah, I
concert
remember hearing
there.
about that.
But I think the worst was the Zoom shows, and I did a lot of those because we were all just like so desperate to like keep the like muscles up. But wow, like just doing a stand-up set to like a bunch of muted faces, like sometimes they wouldn't even put the camera on, so you'd just be like talking into a void.
Oh, jeez.
That's so awkward.
It was so, and like we would have like fake like brick walls in the background with like a little prop mic. Like I did it like a comedy competition on Zoom, and that was where I was like, "Is this my rock bottom? Like, what is going on? Do I need to quit?"
I mean, if you want to attend one of those over Zoom, it should be like a requirement that you have your camera on and like maybe be muted the whole time. So that way you can sort of alleviate virtual hecklers, but at least have the camera on so you can at least gauge, like if someone's laughing, even if they're doing it silently, then at least you know your stuff's landing. Like,
Oh yeah. Or like trying to do crowd work to a bunch of squares. It's like square two from the left. You guys look like a couple. You posted left and that's square two. It was a harrowing, humbling experience.
How long did you have to soldier through that before you could start actually getting back out to different venues?
That was, yeah, pretty much all of 2020. And then once everyone was getting vaccinated, then everything sort of started slowly. So like spring 2021 was when outdoor shows became like really popular outside of like bars and restaurants, and it was ended up being fine.
Mhm.
And then I guess by like fall things were kind of normal, and then Omicron happens and everything went back. So
Oh my God. Yeah.
it's been a journey.
I have really gauged everything based on how Saturday Night Live was handling things, and that like 2 or 3 week period of time, winter 2020, early 2021, that was just like it felt like such a step backwards. Or was it late 2021 when that happened? I can't remember. But yeah, it felt like everything for a month went backwards, and it sucked.
Yeah, it was nuts. I mean, my entire bar, like the bar that I work at, everyone got it. And I had avoided it like for all of 2020. So of course I had like a chip on my shoulder. I was like, yeah, I didn't get COVID. So that was like a rite of passage in New York. If you didn't get COVID, like, whoa.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Zach, go ahead.
So like the other question I had here was, so when did you like transition into like stand up?
So at NYU I studied writing for TV, and I just loved like writing comedy and like writing comedy scripts. So then when I graduated, there were some friends that I had that were doing improv, and some friends that were doing stand up. And since I had studied acting, I was kind of like, oh wow, this is like a great combination of writing comedy and also performing. And there's something that I thought was really cool about how you have full control over it. You're not acting someone else's script, like you're writing it. It's all like your own life. So I thought, okay, maybe I could just like do stand up for a while, and then hopefully I'll just magically stumble into a TV writing job. And now I just realized I've been putting way more effort into stand up. So that's kind of what happened instead, but we'll see.
I do like that on your website, KimberlyDinaro.com, that you described yourself as a comedian, mermaid, and teen pop star.
Yeah, it's important. It's important for people to know that I'm a teen pop star. There is still time to sell out my arenas with my heartbreak ballads.
Because we all grew up in the same town, and like people even in Massachusetts have never even heard of the town that we're from. But
yeah, truly.
But does it strike you as odd that like the amount of people that have come out of our town that have actually like done well for themselves and the careers that they've had. Like we have some pretty, I wouldn't say like superstar famous people, but we have some pretty famous people that have emerged from our town. Would you agree?
Yeah, for a small town, and I mean it's surprising, but it's pretty cool. Especially like in our high school, like our arts programs were,
Oh
it's
yeah.
not like we had a bunch of money that was getting funneled through those programs, but I mean we had Megan, for the director of our high school theater, so you
Yeah.
know, that I think she helped me a lot, or and like the program itself.
Yeah.
Um,
Agreed. I lump you in that group of people too. Like when I think of Ricky Duran, or I think of Kirsten Glavin from whatever news channel Boston she's on, NBC I think it is. Just thinking of all the famous people who have come out there. I mean, not many people from our town ended up on the Tonight Show, so that's pretty big. I'd say that's pretty big.
I'll take it.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. It is funny when people are like, wait, you were on the Tonight Show? And then they think it was like a traditional stand-up set, and then they watch it and they're like, wait, but you lost. And I'm like, okay, guys, can we focus on can we get off the fact that I didn't win? Okay. I'm sorry that Roombas aren't as trending as the worldwide pandemic, but
now Zach, you did theater with Kim back when we were in high school, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. I know. I think the only, because I did theater too, but I only did it senior year, and I think the only thing that we all did together was Grease, unless
yes.
Kim, if that's because this was late 2006. Did you do the fall play too when the lights were out?
No, I tried out for the fall plays freshman and sophomore year and was rejected, and it was a sore subject.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, like I didn't get a part. I was terrified to even audition. I don't even know how I managed to get through that audition, because I could barely talk, I could barely sing, I could barely like think, and that's why I ended up doing the lights for that show.
It was a weird audition process though, because it was just us, and then like it was like 3 people in a room,
Yeah.
and you're in like the back of the music room. It was basically a closet. And you're like, let me pour my soul out to
Yeah.
try and get a part in the theater production. Like looking back, it's so funny because I remember thinking the stakes were so, so high. I was like, this is everything. Like, if I don't get this part, then like, what am I going to do with my whole future? And then like the show would be like 100 of our parents in the audience, like looking so miserable, sitting in those wooden chairs that were so uncomfortable. We're like, this is it. This is Broadway.
I just felt like I needed to not let down the graduating classes before me. Because kind of in reality, I was looking up to them. I thought they were all great. And to then be included sort of in that circle to me was mind blowing, because I tried out for the fall play almost just kind of like as a joke. Like someone told me to do it. I'm like, oh, okay. And then next thing I know, I had a role, like a substantial role in that play. And I'm like, this is unexpected. I guess I'm a theater kid now. And
It happens to the best of us. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then I feel like I got too big for my britches, because then we had the Grease audition, and the role I really wanted was the there's like a DJ, like a radio DJ that
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yep. Yeah, I remember you trying for that.
he has like a single like scene in the whole play, and that's the role I wanted. And I remember when I went in for my audition, all of a sudden, hi everybody. So
Wait, who played the radio DJ? Is that during the school dance?
yes.
Wait. Oh, I can't remember. I know Mr. Graves was we had him cameo as like the teen heartthrob. I can't remember who we had as the DJ though.
I know who the DJ is. I'm not going to say his name because him and I do not get on too well. And,
Oh my God, drama and Grease from 2006. Unpack the drama. The statute of limitations is still in play. It's fine.
But that was always sort of that was always like the big get, is if you could get a teacher to be involved with
Oh yeah.
any of the
Mhm.
productions, not even just the like the theater productions, but because I loved the video production class. I loved just making like little movies, and I remember like Graves would show up in all of them. I actually got Wendy Janarico to be in mine, and
The feet.
she loved it. She thought it was great because I was like the one person that got along with her. Like
Oh, Wendy.
everyone hated this is my probably our I think we all had her as just our math teacher back in high school, and like I think I was the one person that I mean that lady drove me up a wall, but I liked her. I got on with her, and then I'm like, hey, I'm making this movie that's like it's like an unofficial haphazard sequel to Weird Science. Do you want to play the math teacher that yells at me because I've been cutting class, like to clone human beings? And yeah, she was down for it. So and then I won several Academy Awards for that film.
Yes. I remember Mr. Graves being like so awkward backstage because it must have been so weird because we all were like changing in the same room. Like there was no like dressing rooms. It was like the makeshift music room. And then Mr. Graves would just be like, uh-oh, well, the kids are in their underwear. Okay.
Oh,
I gotta
Jesus.
leave.
Oh, how the times have changed. If that happened in 2023,
Oh, absolutely. Would not be chill. Like I was like, was Mr. Graves like how Trump would like walk into the like to Miss
Oh, no.
Wednesday, be like, oopsie. Like he just like did it accidentally.
and then he
Like,
doesn't leave. Just stands there with a smile on his
Oh, this isn't the bathroom.
I'm so lost.
Ultimately with Grease, I think I ended up playing like background character number 6. So I showed up in a couple of scenes just as like guy who's awkwardly dancing, just to whatever. But Kim, who were you in Grease?
I was Rizzo.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I loved that. That was definitely one of my favorites. So fun.
I love the idea of Rizzo because in the film, Stockard Channing plays Rizzo, and at the time, I think she's like, when they filmed it, she was like 34 years old, and they're trying to pass her off as a 17-year-old.
I was like, that must be how you look in high school. Like,
We all thought that.
yeah. In high school, I'll have crow's feet. Like in high school, my back will hurt. Like that is what is going to happen.
And be thousands of dollars in debt, and and also repaying back student loans and everything. I'm a teenager. It's okay. It's what we do.
You know, I prefer that to like, because like high school now is like Euphoria, which is like, it's a little too much on a lot of levels.
I mean, is like, are they like that actually? I thought Euphoria was like supposed to be fantasy. I mean, I don't watch it, but I feel like we had like Glee, which was like, this is how the kids are in high school now, which is like, okay. And I was like, we're all on drugs. I don't know.
When I graduated, we had the OC, which was all sorts of unrealistic. I mean, everyone at that high school, all like the actors were all very obviously in their 20s, and every student there looked like they're in their 20s, but they're all trying to portray high school students. Like I don't get like I've never understood why they don't just cast like actual like high school aged humans to play high schoolers. They always cast adults, and it's so obvious that they're adults.
Well, I think that's usually because of the child labor laws. So they can't shoot for more than like 8 hours a day if you're a minor. So they'll just like, oh, if you're 24, then we can work you as much as we want.
Oh, that's a really good point, actually. Yeah. Yeah, you're a youthful looking 24-year-old.
I think there's also like a little bit of wisdom that comes after. Like if you're in high school and then you're also like playing someone, I don't know if you have the perspective. Like I remember watching Mean Girls in like 8th grade, and being like, is this a documentary? Like, satire was lost. Like I did, the irony was not there. I was like, oh my God, this is a real life experience of just the girlies hanging out in high school. It's like, so being in at that age and playing the role, like I don't, because I remember reading something about Tina Fey saying that like Lindsay Lohan was actually in high school when they filmed that, and Rachel McAdams was like 26 or 27. So that must have been a weird dynamic, because Lindsay Lohan was like, I love wearing these outfits and they're so fun. And Rachel was like, okay, well, it's supposed to be, you're not supposed to glorify them being mean. It's supposed to be that.
Yeah, that's Rachel McAdams is like the modern day Rizzo, because like she still gets cast as playing like the young female. I'm like, ma'am, you're 45 years old. Like
she is ageless.
Yeah. So you mentioned satire, and now Betches, that's satire, right? That's
Reductress is.
Reductress. Okay, my mistake.
Yeah. Reductress is like the Onion.
Okay. How did you get that role writing for Reductress?
Well, I interned for them when they were like just starting. And it was like back when people thought unpaid internships were chill. Like that was like a whole time when they were like, what if we just like didn't pay people? Hilarious. And we were all like, I guess we have to not get paid for experience and exposure. So yeah, I did that. And then I became like a contributor for them.
Nice.
Not so much anymore, but yeah.
Okay. Now, do you find it's easy to write satire, or are there challenges with coming up with the material?
I loved it. I mean, their brand is like really cool, because it's like it started as like making fun of women's magazines, like with Cosmo, you know, where it's like 10 ways to like give your man a blowjob that's shaped like an apple, and it's like, what? So that's how they started like making fun of those kinds of like women's advice columns, and it was really fun. I mean, I loved writing for them.
Did you find there were a lot of people that would believe the content was real, like they do with The Onion?
That's a real problem for them, I think, especially now that they're like a much bigger company. People will like cite it and source it.
Zach, go ahead.
Oh boy. Well, I was also just curious too, when what made you finally jump into the whole shorts and like TikTok craze thing? Because like I've watched a couple of your things. I like where you're going.
Oh, thanks. I don't know if I believe that, but
this girl's got moxie. She's going places.
Yeah, that sounded like the relative at the family holiday that's like, I've seen what's going on there. You keep that up, I guess. I don't understand that. You keep doing it.
I don't know what these TikToks are.
Reaction I get a lot. Yeah. So
is that some sort of clock? TikTok?
Yeah, exactly. TikTok I got into in 2020 because everyone was doing it, and I was like, I gotta figure out what this is. And it is like, at least back then, I don't really, they've changed the algorithm so much, but it was cool because with Instagram, it's like they would only show you things from people who follow you, and it was really hard to build a following. And with TikTok, because of the way that like their scrolling works, like you could reach a way bigger audience. And I thought that was cool. So I just made those bartending videos when I wasn't working at the bar.
Now, are you concerned at all with, because they've been talking about this for a long time with TikTok, how they want to shut TikTok down, or at least ban it in the US. And I think they already did that in Montana. Are you worried about that and how that will affect basically what you do?
I mean, I'm not like a mega influencer or any. I like don't make any money off of like my little baby following yet. So it wouldn't really. I mean, it would definitely suck just because I love TikTok and I think it's more fun than Instagram. And it would feel like kind of a waste in like what work I put into it. But I don't know if they'll be able to get away with that. We'll see.
Yeah,
that would be crazy.
Everything right now is just like, okay, you're gonna try to do that, I guess. We'll see what what happens. It's just, this
Yeah.
is a really weird timeline. Like every time I wake up and I just look at the news and I'm just like, I'm just gonna put the news on hiatus for like 10 days and I'll come back to it and see if my mental health is right for whatever the hell is going on right now. At this point, I just kind of get news like mostly through the group chat with like Jack and everybody, because like I don't have time. I'm trying to, be sane and try to have energy for the things that I want to do. And, looking at the news doesn't always help with that.
I think that's smart. That's a good approach. Yeah, especially if you have a group chat that can filter it out for you. That's really ideal.
Yeah, I take it for the team. I'm the one that my mental health is all but deteriorated at this point in my life. But I at the same time, for the sake of doing this podcast, I like to stay on top of current events, as terrible as they are. And with that, Kim, would you say that, like, because one thing we talk about a lot on the show, just because we're all sorts of screwed up, everybody on the show, is mental health. Do you find that like your own mental health affects how you do your stand up or really put together any of the content that you put out there online?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, there's like a trope or like some people in comedy think like you have to have like a really hard life or you have to be like really depressed to be funny. There's lots of different debates about that. I think being sort of cynical or like finding what's funny about complaining about things can help just sort of move on from it, and also like hopefully find a relatable angle that other people can laugh about and can make the hard things in life funnier. So I think it from that in that regard, yeah.
Yeah. But so with your stand up, is it more just sort of stream of consciousness, or is it more based around current events?
I mean, I definitely talk about current events, but yeah, I would say just like observations about life, like my own life and everything that's going on. Being in your 30s has been like an interesting time. Everyone's in like weird, chaotic phases. Like you're either married with kids or you're just like forever 22. It's a fun balance. So that's been a lot of my material.
So that what you just said got me to think this. Would you agree with this statement that you didn't really become an adult until you turned 30? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely people who I know that are really young who I think look like they have it together, and that's really cool because I like definitely didn't. Like I needed like every year of my 20s to be like as messy as possible. Do I wish that I had gotten like a career at 25? Yeah, sure. But I am grateful that by 30 it kind of felt like, yeah, my brain and like personality were more unlocked.
That's how I felt too, because like I think back to like what I did in my 20s, like the jobs I worked, buying 2 cars, getting married, and then getting divorced, buying a house. And then it wasn't until I turned 30 that it started to dawn on me. I'm like, okay, I actually feel like an adult. Whereas for the past decade, from 20 until 30, I felt like I felt like a teenager who was allowed responsibilities and I guess privileges, but I still felt like a teenager.
Yeah, it kind of feels for a while you're like doing adult cosplay or you're like role playing like the motions of adulthood and maturity. And then at 30, I think I sort of feel like my life now, like I'm in control of it. Like it's my own life. And before it was like, I don't know whose this is, but here I am playing a part.
Zach, do you agree?
I totally agree with that. That's why one of the things I find the most refreshing and the things that I like about what you are doing with your what you entertain people with, because I find like especially as we're getting older, like that relatability factor and like that niche of just like a unique way of looking at the things that you relate to is there's just a lot there that you can work with. And honestly, you are genuinely very funny. And I really like the I like the witticisms that you bring to things and the self-awareness on that too, because like that's what makes it so funny.
Thank you. Yeah, I like some self-deprecation. It's good to roast yourself for sure.
Now, are you planning on staying in New York for the long run, or are you looking to branch out, maybe get to like Los Angeles or whatever? Like, what does the future look like for you?
Yeah, I like to regularly lie to myself and others around me about how I'm moving to LA at any point, any day. I mean, I really do love LA. A lot of New Yorkers have like this like fake feud with LA where they're like everyone's fake there and it's not a real city, and it's just like everyone's fake here, like everyone's fake, like that's just how like both of these cities, they're like full of powerful people trying to like become something. Like that's just going to happen. Just like New Yorkers are fake in a different way, so you kind of have to choose what sort of fakeness you want. But I'm like, would you rather be in the sunshine surrounded by palm trees and have an apartment building with a pool? I mean, that sounds awesome. In New York, you don't get that stuff.
Right. I mean, the air quality is pretty comparable, though.
Yeah, I mean, there's all that, and how California is going to like fall off and melt into the sea.
Yeah.
That will probably happen. So it's a risk, but in the meantime, you get the sun.
Before we wrap this up, and speaking of Los Angeles, we kind of touched upon it very briefly before we started recording, but just out of curiosity, are you a Vanderpump Rules fan?
I am like a fan, a pre-fan, and then I know I will be obsessed once I commit to watching it. And like the clips I've seen, I know are funny. I'm working at a bar for almost a decade. Like, I mean, I've seen those kind of arguments play out. Just we needed a reality show for sure. So
nice. So I take it you're not familiar with what's happening right now with
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
The Scandival.
Yeah. It's I'm amazed that it is as big as it is, and the amount of people, like, I'm coming into this totally new. This is all new to me, and just learning about just how big it is. And this is so Tom Sandoval has a band called Tom Sandoval and the Most Extras, and it's just a cover band. But you're familiar with the Wolf Den at Mohegan Sun. Have you been there?
No.
So the Wolf Den is a small concert venue that's like right outside the arena where like the bigger bands play. And the Wolf Den's like smack in the middle of the casino, and they have free shows there. And it's usually like well-known bands will come through and perform there, but it's all like bands of the 80s or I mean, it really just depends on, I mean, look at like local bands that go there through there too, but it's usually like the acts that you'll see them like, oh, I didn't realize this group was still together. Oh, okay, cool. And then you can like get a free show from them. Sandoval was the first act to actually not only pack the Wolf Den, but actually have like a line of people wrapped around the casino trying to get in.
Wow.
Huh.
Because I Becky and I went to that a few weeks ago to watch him play, really just to point and laugh at him, because this was like Scandival had just broke, but we hadn't, the episode of the show hadn't yet aired, and it was a madhouse, all to watch this guy do what amounted to terrible karaoke.
That's the dream. I wish I could sell out my karaoke sessions. I wish people were wrapped around for my bad karaoke nights. Sometimes I am like, maybe I should ditch everything and just start a cover band. Every time I go to a wedding, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be a wedding singer next year. The career change is constant. Like, that sounds so fun, being a wedding singer. But it is one of those things probably like where it looks fun and then you do it and you're like, no, this is an absolute nightmare.
I would hope the pay is at least worth it.
Yeah. I mean, it must be. They keep doing it. Weddings are so expensive, so.
Yeah. Never get married, kids. Don't do it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just got engaged, so.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh, nice.
I'm always one to be like, don't get married, kids, and then that exact people always be like, oh, I just got married, or
This is the second time on this podcast actually you've done that.
Yep. Kim, are you doing like the traditional thing, or would you rather go to like Vegas and just elope with an Elvis officiant?
Well, my fiance actually like was born and raised in Vegas. So I wanted to do that. I was like, that would be so fun to do like a little Vegas thing. And my whole family shut it down. They were like, what? Like, no, we're not going to Vegas. I'm like, all right, well, we'll see. If you want to pay for the wedding, then go ahead.
Come on, Dinaro in Vegas. Come on.
It would be fun. I could be my
writes
own wedding
itself.
singer.
It makes so much sense. Yeah, there you go, double duty.
Yes.
Before we wrap this up, Zach, was there anything else you had on your mind?
No, just that it's really good to see you. Really good to see that you've continued to like, despite the overwhelming crushing power of like the Hollywood and art and entertainment scene in general, that you've still tried to put something out there, because, you know, genuinely, I know that if you didn't get something from it, you wouldn't still do it. And clearly you have something, because people like what they see when they see you. So I'm just happy we give people an opportunity to find you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's so good to see you guys. This is like such a fun impromptu high school reunion sesh.
Yeah, this is great. I had a lot of fun with this. And Kim, door is always open for you to come back on the show and make fun of Roombas.
Yes, my specialty.